All right, we are live. Happy Saturday, everyone. It is Breeders' Stakes Saturday at Woodbine. Ashley, long time no see.
I know. It feels like it's been forever. I feel like I saw you a lot and now I don't see you at all, which is not a good or a bad thing necessarily, just different.
Why is it not a bad thing?
I know we
I
don't get to
mean,
gamble. We started hot though. That was the thing. And it was a little cold our last couple episodes, so maybe the hiatus was a good thing.
yeah, we come back with fresh eyes today. Obviously, big day. We've got a Canadian Triple Crown on the line, which is cool. Not since 2003 have we seen a Canadian Triple Crown winner. So we'll get into that. I'm going to go ahead and just put it out there right now. We want you to comment. Let us know. Do you think Mighty Heart will do it? Love to hear what you think. Assuming there are some Mighty Heart fans here. What do you think? Just real quick. What do you, yes or no?
Oh, I'm torn on this because originally I said yes, and I'm like all about the good stories. I think it'd be awesome to see, but this is what I think will happen. I think he will kind of either romp, kind of like we've seen in the last two, or I don't think he'll be in the picture at all. I think it's one or two things. I don't see it kind of panning out any different. I was actually talking to my dad today about it, and I said, "What do you think?" And he goes, "I think the horse is either going to be there or he's not." I do think with the way things have gone in his last two compared to the other horses he's facing a lot of them again, whether they raced in the Plate or the Prince of Wales. And last time I actually thought the Prince of Wales performance was more impressive than the Plate. And he went gate to wire in the Plate, which happened the year before. So I think seeing the trip that he got in the Prince of Wales, he didn't need the lead, kind of got boxed in, then made a pretty big move. I was impressed with that. So I don't know. I'd like to see him win. I think he can do it, but I do think a big thing that's going to play into it is not only the distance, but it's the way the turf course is playing and the condition of the turf. It's not like it's been warm temps and very dry up north, at least, not even in the Buffalo area and just 2 hours away. We've gotten a lot of rain. I know they've been trying to protect the turf course the last couple of days.
Yeah. So I know that we've been trying to keep our eyes on Maryland as well today. It's Maryland Million Day last year. Both of us were on TVG hosting the coverage, and kind of stinks that we can't be out there this year. But the benefit is that we could be doing this. So we're still keeping an eye on Laurel Park on Maryland Million Day. But one person who's been keeping his eye only on Woodbine, won't even peek at Laurel Park, is our man JD Fox, who joins us now. JD, how you doing?
I'm doing well, guys. And I have Laurel. I have two monitors there. I have Woodbine and Laurel, but mainly I'm making sure that you don't have a heart attack or some condition based on the results at Laurel, Dan. That's the main reason I'm monitoring it for you.
Thank you for abiding by the dress code, at least in terms of the color. Ashley obviously not playing along today.
I was not aware. I mean, there are little tints of purple in here with a bunch of other colors, so it counts, but I did not know that it was purple. At least JD has a collar on his shirt, a little bit more professional than you do.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, JD, the other night you tweeted at me, and I didn't actually come ready with anything, but I know you said you were going to be coming strong today with your beer game. So what do you got?
So I'm going to tell you that I'm going to present a new idea to you, and that is something we're doing in Arizona, which is a desert IPA. So this is a Sage Orange IPA. So this is an IPA that is very hoppy, but it's also been brewed with fresh orange zest. So this is how we have to do IPAs in Arizona, because with how hot it is, we need a little bit of flavor to go with it and a little bit of coolness. So we also do some other crazy type things. This is another big one that we have right here out of Arizona. This is out of Lake Havasu. This is the Big Blue Van Blueberry Wheat. So this is a blueberry wheat, unlike an orange wheat, so very drinkable beer. And I do have something for Ashley as well. I have a 24-ounce Wild Berry Truly.
I don't know if it's because it's a Truly or it's 24 ounces.
I'm letting you decide on that one.
Okay.
That's really funny. Well played.
Yeah, you lost me at IPA, so at least you pulled me back in. I felt like you could be I don't know, I feel like in another life you might work in a brewery. I was sold on it, but you said IPA and I was then out the window.
Well, hey, I've also, if you didn't want the Truly, I also got you a cider, which is just an Angry Orchard unfiltered. So there you go.
You like the ciders, Ashley?
I like some of them.
Yeah.
It kind of depends. There's a local place that I love their ciders. Angry Orchard, I don't know. They're too sweet almost at some point, but it's my opinion.
So then we've got another desert IPA.
How many does he have? What is it?
I've got a 6-pack over here. I've got a desert IPA, and then maybe this is going to be more Ashley, but we've also got a local peach ale, a peach golden ale, which is very drinkable from Four Peaks. Still supporting Four Peaks, even though they're now owned by InBev, so they're no longer a microbrew. But there's your Arizona beer update, Dan. I know that was very important to you.
No, it's awesome, and I've been telling people, like, I'm not on the payroll, but there's an app called Tavour, Tavour. It is spectacular. It's like the most. It's hard to find beers, just sort of like smaller quantities. I mean, you just can't find them. And if you like kind of weird beers, if you like really stouty beers, if you like these milkshake IPAs are now like all the rage. I mean, if you like those, like fruity beers, I mean all of it. Check out Tavour and DM me so you could use my referral code. Like I said, I'm not on the payroll. I got to benefit somehow, right? I mean, hook it up. All right, let's all benefit here by pulling up the screen and taking a look at the horses on the track for the 7th race at Woodbine. So that's the whole point of this show. We will be handicapping the races with you. We'll give you some of our picks, some of our opinions, and play along. Comment, let us know who you're playing, who you like, and we'll take you right through to the Breeder Stakes, which is the 10th race, so a couple of races away. This one is going 7.5 on the inner turf, Phillies $100,000 allowance race. Let's see, who is your favorite right now? It's the 7-horse, Genie B. I don't think any surprise there. 8-5 right now, followed by Grace Seal on the outside, taking a little money off the morning line. And I thought this was a fairly competitive race. I couldn't figure out who was going to be on the lead. I landed on maybe Say Hey being the horse who gets to the front and tries to see how far they could take her. But what do you think, Ashley? How do you see this race shaping up?
I mean, I thought Genie B looked pretty tough. This isn't shocking. The price isn't even shocking in my opinion. I mean, the horse was 8-5 morning line. Pace scenario, I agree. It's a little murky just in general. From a handicapping perspective, I like the 3 all quality, the other Cassie runner, especially at 5-1, a little up from the morning line. I just thought this horse ran pretty big off the layoff last time out. Now making the second start, I expect some improvement and just missed by 3/4 of a length. So, going a little bit longer too now. I know last time I said it was a good performance. I still think this one will need better, but 6-5 and like that price range is a little too short for me. But I think in terms of how I'd play this race, I probably would play exotics where I would use Genie B and maybe another horse on top and then kind of structure my ticket from there.
Yeah, my only concern with Genie B was that I thought she got a great pace set up last out. I mean, granted, she was in tight. She tried making a move from the back, and then she did get through and make a nice move late. But she got the setup. Everything kind of went her way, and still, it didn't work out. I'm with you though on all quality. I think all quality for a number of different reasons, including the ones you pointed out. And I thought she also looked pretty green in the stretch last out as well. I thought maybe if she could take a step forward off of that, was dangerous. JD, what do you think? I mentioned the pace. Do you have a vision for how the pace might unfold in this race?
Yeah, I think really Say Hey. I think I agree with you there. It's going to be Say Hey and probably West Paw being the 2 that are going to be sent. I think the 3 and the 6. I'm really backing Gray Seal here, the 8. Major excuses the last 2 times out. If you look back at that July 25th race, I mean, there was no place for Husbands to go there through the stretch. The horse had so much run and just was blocked through the entirety of the stretch. And then last time out, broke in the air, but still rallied and only lost by a length and 3/4. So I think Gray Seal can break and has shown some tactical speed in the past, has been on the front end. I think this is more of a scenario from the outside where I think Contreras is going to kind of hold back and get a nice trip and make one run on the outside and try to match pace with the 7 Genie B. Genie B is very tough in here, but at 6-5, I don't trust that horse can finish a race yet. We haven't seen it here in North America at this point. So I want to see if Gray Seal can upset here I was hoping to get higher odds, and now all of a sudden we went from 4-1 to 6-1. So I'm backing Gray Seal here pretty heavily.
Yeah, never hurt to see the price drift a little bit. Interesting also on Genie B, and Ashley, I'd like to know what you think about this. If you have any rules as it relates to horses coming over from Europe and getting Lasix for the first time, I think almost without fail you expect a dramatic improvement, right, the first time they go out on Lasix. But what I've found, at least, is that second race on Lasix, you see a little bit of a regression. Is that? Do you have any rules as it relates to that?
I don't know if I track it as maybe closely as you do with the second start. I mean, that's something that I think in general, you always look at horses, whether they're coming out of another country or just Lasix in general, especially with younger horses here. That's more the thing we've been noticing more recently, right? A couple starts, they won't have Lasix depending what circuit they go to from there. They might try Lasix for the first time, depending on the rules. I do expect usually dramatic performance. You know, this one came over here and they did do the one start without Lasix and Lasix in the second start, and we did see some improvement. And that could be just making the second start off a long layoff. So it's tough for me to just draw conclusions for something like that, knowing that now this horse is just making the third start off the layoff, which is typically, they say, the best. I usually think second or third. And now you're mentioning the whole angle of second time Lasix. It's tough. It's a lot of variables in that equation.
They're loading into the gate here. Encourage people not to be shy. Let us know who you like. We got some bets coming in from the folks here. 872 exact and try. And a question here from one of our guests that's going to be coming up in a little while. Does that mean that we're making a bet here on the 2-horse, who interestingly is trained by Roger Atfield, first time Lasix? Is she sending us a signal here?
I don't know. That's very mysterious.
I need to lean on you guys real quick. Do you hear the track audio? What are you hearing? No track audio. All right, let me mess around with this real quick. Do that. That should help. Now, do you hear it?
I don't hear anything.
Well, I can see if
Gracie
Rob...
will settle
we're
that
good.
gate.
Now we're good.
Okay.
Hollyanna moves in.
So should we get a late bet in here?
I don't know. Maybe it's eternal peace now.
Sherry, throw another 10 on for me. Come on, hook it up.
I put 20 to 1 on the 8.
All right, JD sticking with his guns. Here's the race. We'll let you hear the audio.
I figure I had to back a Josie Carroll
Working on
runner today.
Hollyanna. They're going to open the front of the gate.
Well, you'll get other chances.
That is happening now as Hollyanna is asked to move in. Almost.
I like this. A lot of discussion here. A lot of people, they like the 3. So Ashley, I think that was the horse you called out first. All quality.
Well.
Yes, and then I saw the odds drop.
Hollyanna, the one to come.
Only take what they give us, right?
Yeah.
It's been a while waiting for her return, and this is the first run
Man,
back.
I'm going to try to get a bet in here. I'm
basically a year,
while they're
so Hollyanna causing a slight delay.
Yeah, Hollyanna. I mean, last time we saw her was Stakes Company, but it's been over a year, and she does not appear to want to be in the gate.
Another tactic with her.
So I just put in a late bet while this was all going on. Very similar to this bet. I went 2, 3, 4. And the only reason I used the 4 Say Hey is because I mentioned earlier, I think there's a chance Say Hey could get loose on the front. So we'll see.
Now they're ready. All in. Locked up. Off their race. A great start. All quality began sharply. Grey Seal coming fast on the outside, mustering a burst to go forward. And also up in the center is Westpaw. Driving through between runners is Say Hey as they go to the turn. The widest there is Genie B, and forced a little wide.
Some action there.
A couple of lengths behind them, Hollyanna. Eternal Peace.
Well, the pace
last,
scenario is
Golden Vision
definitely
last.
different
It's all
than we
quality
thought.
taken on by Grey Seal and Neckaway. They've torn out by 3.5.
Pace duel here. What do we got here?
In third, and on the rails is Say Hey. A length and a half to Westpaw. A break of 2 to Hollyanna.
23 and 2.
Peace picking up some ground. And 4.5 to Golden Vision, now 3.5 last. It's on the inside, all quality.
If Genie
and on the
B
outer,
is
Grey
not going to
Seal,
win this
almost
race,
matching
I don't know
strides
what
by
race she wins.
3.5 to 4
No
lengths over
excuses
Genie
here.
B. 2 lengths away.
She can go pretty
Splitting
wide,
horses,
though, in the first
Eternal
turn.
Peace finishing well. Say Hey on the inside, racing wider. Westpaw back second last. Hollyanna last is Golden Vision. They hit the 3/8 and little separates. Grey
Eternal
Seal on
Peace
the
moving,
outside,
all right.
and all quality. 3 lengths away, Genie B tracks and coming after them now, but Grey Seal narrowly.
All right, JD.
Quality on the inside, 2 lengths to
I
Genie
think
B,
Kimura's
diminishing the
loaded
margin
here
with
on the
every
7.
stride.
They did
Behind
go
them,
really
Eternal
fast.
Peace as they corner. Genie B hooks 3 wide. All Quality in front of Grey Seal. Genie B trying to run them down. And Asked to Come Now is finishing over the top of them. And Genie B on the outsides run by very quickly. Got away down the outside. Holy Anna's running a mighty good race, finishing on. Out in front, Genie B. Holy Anna eating up the ground off a long layoff, but it's going to be Genie B by length and a quarter. Holy Anna. Third placing's gone to Grey Seal from All Quality.
So, I mean, the only surprise was really the way the pace unfolded. I don't think the result was that surprising.
No, I don't think so. I just didn't expect those 2 horses to go to the front. And then, like we said about the times, I mean, they went 23 and 2, and then they went, 46 and 2.
Yeah,
I mean, and they
fast.
ran a fast, the second quarter was faster. I mean, it was almost 23 flat, almost to, hundredths. I mean, kind of cooking.
JD, I know you said you were watching some of the races earlier today with a close eye. Have you noticed anything with the turf course? I mean, yeah, Genie B closed, and we saw Holy Anna close just there, but pretty impressive the way the 2 horses that were dueling all the way. I mean, they didn't completely fold. I mean, they seem to hang in there pretty well.
It seems to be playing fairly, and obviously you mentioned they've been protecting the EP Taylor. Have taken off races all week and moved them to the inner turf. So they have protected the main event turf course for today's Breeder Stakes. But Genie B, the best horse there, won, and I think won pretty comfortably there. I think it was an impressive run from Hollyanna off the long break, especially after all the gate antics. You have to think that might have taken a little bit out of her as well, and she still came storming home to get second.
Yep, absolutely. So if you had that one, I hope you hit it hard. You got even money on top, but a couple of decent prices underneath, 6-1, 7-1. All Quality was not expecting those tactics from Rafi Hernandez to be up with the pace there, but I guess felt like that was, I mean, maybe handicapped it the way we did and saw no other obvious speed and just said, heck, I'll go for it. So I want to let everybody know we do have a lot of guests who are scheduled to join us here in a moment. You saw Allison Walker a moment ago chime in from the Roger Atfield barn. She'll be joining us in about an hour or so. You also go Philly, Sherry from Twitter, everyone's favorite Woodbine racing fanatic. She's actually joining now. I see her in the waiting room. So she'll be joining us momentarily. Ellis Starr from Equibase will also be with us, and then Corey Frazier, who's been with us before, a former jockey, is going to give us a little bit of perspective on what goes into prepping for a race like today, the Breeder Stakes, and his thoughts on whether Mighty Heart will be the one to win the Canadian Triple Crown. First time since Wando in 2003, potentially. Mighty Heart today. JD, let's get your quick thoughts on this. I asked Ashley about it in the open. What do you think? Mighty Heart going to do it?
I think there's a good chance that Mighty Heart's going to do it, but as a bettor, I might be rooting for Mighty Heart, but I'm going to try to figure out ways to get some value in case Mighty Heart doesn't get the job done. So obviously a lot of people are looking at the stablemate Belichick. I want to bring back into the conversation the 12 Muskoka Giant. I think Muskoka Giant
love Muskoka Giant.
Bred all day for the turf, son of Curlin. I just think that this Muskoka Giant is probably the horse in this field that I'm most comfortable at getting the 1.5 miles. And I think turf is the much better surface. I think you can toss that Prince of Wales as far as you want to because the horse wanted no part of the dirt that day and probably will not want any part of the dirt on any day. So I think Muskoka Giant, 21 morning line. I think Muskoka Giant could be a little bit of a wise guy horse and get bet down a little bit, but that's who I'm backing in the Breeder Stakes. I do think that we've seen multiple tactics from Mighty Heart, and that can sometimes, obviously Dice K is a very, he's a great jockey, and this is his biggest stage. And I don't know if that pressure is going to get in his head of, well, what do? I know this horse can win if I get an easy pace. I know this horse can win from a pocket and pass horses down in the stretch. I mean, there's something there, and I also think that we're going to see on the turf, especially, we're going to see a couple horses try to steal this up front. I think English Conqueror is probably the head of that pack that I really could see just going out and setting a blistery pace and trying to extend the field and maybe hold on.
Yeah, Ashley brought up an interesting point when we were talking about this earlier, in that Mighty Heart has done it a couple of different ways now. He did it on the lead. Showed that he didn't need the lead last out. And so, I just want your take on that Prince of Wales specifically, because it looked good visually in that he was able to sit off and then tip out, go around horses, and then run down a horse that, Clayton's a good horse. Let's just say he's the second best horse, right? So he chased down Clayton and passed him and won. But I think there's another way of looking at it also, in that he got such a good setup in behind the speed. So for most of the race, he was in the garden spot. Now, granted, he had to tip out and make a bit of a move and had to slow down some of his momentum. I wonder where you come down on that. Do you think that race was, more him showing kind of another dimension and you give him an extra point for that? Or are you like, well, you know what? Look, in the Queen's Plate, he was alone on the lead. In the Prince of Wales, he was sitting behind a hot pace. And maybe he's benefited from the pace, and maybe he's benefited from setups more than we're talking about.
I think the races have set up very well for him. And really, I think in the Queen's Plate, that was the only option with that outside draw, especially with a potentially even faster horse drawn right to the outside in Tecumseh's War. I mean, they went out together, and obviously, we saw that Mighty Heart kind of took over from there, and really didn't get pressure mid-race from on the lead, so that set up really well. And then I think, obviously, with a much better draw in the Prince of Wales, I think that was the strategy, is to sit off and pass. And we talk about like passing horses. I mean, I don't know if you really passed dotted line or dotted line backed up, and then right. You basically had to pass Clayton, and that was about it.
Yeah. Ashley, I hopefully I bought you enough time to get a bet in at Laurel.
I'm not betting. I'm done. I think, with Laurel for the day. Maybe the last race.
Done with Laurel
for the day. I know those words don't usually leave my mouth at all. I'm always like, oh, I can bet any race at Laurel. Now I'm taking a little bit of a breather.
All right,
I'm on the 6 at Laurel, Dan.
The 6. Okay. Well, JD didn't miss a beat. I'm on the 4 there, so we'll see. We'll see what Hall Pass. Yeah, I had a Hall Pass actually kind of underneath, but I don't know. Brilliant Chase. Both of our horses are 6-1, so we'll see if one of those two come out. So in the meantime, let's bring in our next guest. We told you she'd be here. We're excited to have her back on. We had her on a couple months ago, and she's here now. Go Philly. Sherry, how are you?
Not too bad. How are you guys doing? Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we hear you. We hear you. Last time we had you, you were outside, some sort of patio scene. I'm guessing the weather isn't allowing for that anymore.
You know what? Yesterday it was actually 24 degrees here, Celsius. So that was balmy and beautiful. Today it's 8 degrees Celsius. So we had a major switch in weather. So that's why I got the sweater on, and because it's so wild, like everything else this year, that you just got to kind of go with it, right?
You've got the branded sweater, the Go Philly. Where do you get a Go Philly sweater from? You know what
is I actually, with COVID and everything that's been happening, I had some face masks done for Sienna for school. Okay. And the fella that did all those up for us, he had my logo. So he made me a sweatshirt. So it's kind of cool.
That's awesome. No, it's absolutely awesome. Well, you should get those in the Woodbine gift shop. We got to work on that.
Whenever it opens, right?
Yeah, whenever it opens, exactly. So excited to have you on. Look, you're like the Woodbine fanatic, right? I mean, how pumped are you? And do you think this horse is going to do it? It's on the bottom of the screen. We're encouraging people to comment. Let us know if they think Mighty Heart's going to do it. Do you think he's going to do it?
It's really funny because I didn't have him the first 2 legs. And this is like generally the same thing that happens to me in the Kentucky Derby and everything else too, right? And then if I decide to pick him today, then I'm going to be the jinx, right? So it's like, what kind of role do I really want to play in this whole scenario? On paper, when I took a good look at it, I really do think he's got a good shot. But as a bettor, I'll definitely play to beat him. But, I honestly, we need a good story. And I really hope that he runs well and he can pull it off. I think it would be a very fitting ending for the Triple Crown season for here. But,
Yeah, it would be. I mean, it's a great story. I mean, it's not only, everybody's like, oh, the one-eyed horse, and yeah, that's cool. But you've also, I mean, so you've got the first female trainer going for a Canadian Triple Crown. You've got a jockey is he 22? How old is he?
Yeah, I think 21 or 22.
Yeah, 21 or 22.
Young. But he is a brilliant rider.
He's incredible. And you got his agent, like 27 years old. And again, I mean, just these aren't like the core, like, people who've been in the industry, who've like been established. Aside from Josie, I mean, she's obviously been around, got a great reputation. I mean, these are big moments for a young rider and for an agent specifically, like thinking of that team, like, this is a career making thing. You go down in the history books. It's huge.
I think the funny part of it, though, is her filly was favored in the Queen's Plate. So it was the other Josie Carroll horse that ended up winning, right? So in a sense, that kind of has a whole different twang to the story. And she's running tomorrow in the Wonderwear. So, I think that part is kind of even funnier, right? Because everybody was so focused on the filly that he kind of flew under the radar, but he was improving at the right time, right? And that's what it takes, obviously.
And then also in this race, I mean, Josie Carroll is going to have the second choice in Belichick. I mean, so that's also
the other Josie might win again.
Yeah, the other right. So if you want to play that angle, right, you never know. But yeah,
well, I think the other thing too is, we talk about a young rider, but prior to the Plate, only had 2 stakes wins, which had come in the 4 or 6 weeks before the Plate.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about your third career stakes win is like a month from your first, and just happens to be the Queen's Plate. Like that's wild. And I know JD, you had talked about having a horse that looks like you might be versatile and has that play in his kind of in the rider's head. But I think in this case, I don't think it's going to affect him mentally. I think he's just been he's confident. He's kind of been along for the ride at this point. I'm sure when he went into the Plate, I mean, every rider wants to win the Plate, but did he think he had the best horse in the race on paper? Probably not. And he picked up the mount on the horse. It's not like he was familiar with this horse and really knew what he was getting. So I think from a story aspect, Dan kind of hit the nail on the head. It's not just about Mighty Heart, just the horse. It's just everyone involved. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. So we encourage people again, comment. Sherry, you got fans that have joined you for this. That you've already they're clamoring. they're commenting. They are happy to see you here. We've got some people commenting with their picks in the 10th race. So we can and again we encourage everyone to post your picks. Let us know who you're betting, what you think. 839, by the way, would be Mighty Heart, Clayton, and Belichick. So a very chalky trifecta there for Kamal. But hey, look, if it comes, it comes. You get paid. So let's do this. There are other races before that one. Let's take a look at the paddock here for the 8th race coming up at Woodbine. I thought this was another sort of fun betting race. Not very. There are a couple who maybe seem logical. You could probably start with the 6 horse. Who's 2-1 right now, Eye in the Sky, coming out of Grade 2 and Grade 3 company, ran an allowance company last out, but Grade 2, Grade 3 company on the turf. From a class perspective, obviously seems to be the one, but there are a few others in here who seem to be headed in the right direction and who could logically take a step forward. And so let's see. Let's kick it off with JD, since I know you're probably going to be leaving us soon. So let me you kick us off here.
Yeah, so I have in the pick 4 that starts in this sequence, I have the 2 Cassie runners. You mentioned the 6 Eye in the Sky, 2 back, that second place performance in the Royal North. But my top selection's the 4 Western Curl on the cutback. We haven't seen this horse run in a long time at 6 furlongs. But if you look back at the 1 6 furlong effort, it was over this course, and it was a 75 buyer. And I think that puts this horse right in the hunt. And really, this horse has had a problem getting out of the gate in the last couple starts, so hopefully a cleaner break today. And I think this horse has a lot of finish and could pass a lot of horses late. But obviously, Eye in the Sky is going to be a heavy favorite in here, and I'm actually surprised. I think 2-1 is actually a pretty fair price if you wanted to bet Eye in the Sky to win, coming off of the second place effort in the Royal North, and then obviously came back and ran on the Tapeta and ran an 84 Beyer in a second place effort in a optional, in one of the strangest optional conditions you'll see at Woodbine, which is a non-winner of a certain amount of money in a year condition. But obviously the horse fit the condition, so you put the horse in there and you don't complain. But obviously I think Eye in the Sky, a very, I would expect to be a heavier favorite by the time we get to the post.
Yeah. I was expecting a shorter price by this point as well. Ashley, how do you see this race?
To me, the 6 is the standout. I do also agree Western Curl was a horse that I liked. I even thought the performance last time out wasn't really bad by any means, kind of looking at how the trip panned out. So for me, I think the price is good. It's a little blurry on my end, but looks about 7-1, which is fine. But I think looking at, I love exotics, but from like a trifecta angle, I think there could be a price in here. I mean, if the 6 stays at 2-1, I think that's a gift. And then I think behind you can use prices. I mean, the only big change in odds is really the 8, who's been bet down heavily from the morning line, which is a horse that I know is also kind of exiting those stakes races and has faced Eye in the Sky before. But my kind of problem there is hasn't really been close to Eye in the Sky in a lot of those races. So from 12-1 down to 9-2, I really don't like that horse, at least in the top 2. Kind of price wise, looking underneath, fact checking, I thought was going to take a little play just based on the last 2 efforts. So that price doesn't really shock me. I do kind of wonder about the 2 Nantucket Red a little bit. And then honestly, a horse that I'm going to use, and I know the horse is not going to take play, is going to go off as the longest shot for 3rd. A horse that I'm going to toss in, I'm actually going to toss in the 5 at a big price. I know this horse is coming out of some softer spots, but last 3 efforts have been pretty nice. 2 of them were at the 6 furlong distance. This mare really does like the turf course at Woodbine. Jeff Alderson had an injury earlier this year, but he brings prices home. So for underneath, this is a horse I got to go for value because I don't think we're going to get 2-1 on top. So if I'm going to hit this, I want to make a little bit of money. So to me, I think the 6 and the 4 stand out. And then from there, my next kind of horses for maybe underneath would be the 2 and the 5, maybe the 3 as well. Got a spread.
Always listen when Ashley gives you a horse at anywhere between 15 and 25-1. So take note of that. Sherry, a couple of things. Do you believe that this favorite here is deserving of even a shorter price here, Eye in the Sky? Is she the clear-cut best of these? And also, I'm interested in your take on why Charmaine's Mia is taking so much money.
Well, I think I expected Eye in the Sky to be a lot lower than that too, 2-1. And I do think that she will get more play come post time. I'm trying to beat her though. I really like fact checking, and I see Doug McPherson, who's been hot today, likes her too. So that makes me feel a little bit better, or I'm going to jinx him. I'm not really sure. But I think fact checking is just, she's, even though she lost by 3 last out, I like that Bayan stuck with her. And see, Bayan rode Charmaine's Mia before. So, to me, I think he probably had his choice in here. So I would take the 3 over the 8. Now the 8, obviously, like Ron Gernick picked him for the daily racing for him. So I'm sure that's probably a little bit of action too. That's coming down, but it's already
the Gernick factor.
That's right. And she does have some back class. She has run some good races, and she got squeezed back in her start last out, and then she was 4 wide in the other one. So maybe the trips just haven't really panned out for her. And with her having that outside draw, she can maybe get a good stalking trip off of the speed, which I'm expecting to be the 2. So, I think, I think everybody's looking for that little bit of a price too, just in case Eye in the Sky does seem vulnerable, right? But to me, she is the class of the field, but I don't know. I don't feel confident enough to single her at this point.
A big price for me underneath is the 1 Broadway Bonnie, and obviously this is a horse that it's tough to back a horse that could not win this year at Assiniboia and Century Mile in this spot. But if you look back to the Woodbine record last year and you look back at what this horse has done on the EP Taylor at Woodbine. I mean, 2 for 3 lifetime, career best 79 buyer in that spot. I mean, that puts this horse right in there. And 10-1 morning line, currently 17-1 on the board. I think Broadway Bonnie might be worth a look here, and hoping that the surface switch is a form reversal. But even the last race last year at Woodbine was on the Tapeta, and that was still a 79 buyer as well, and a victory in a $25,000 claimer. Obviously, this is a $60,000 tag spot, but probably on a preferred surface for Broadway Bonnie that she hasn't seen in a while.
You know, I'm really surprised that Western Curl is up there at 7-1. That's a really fair price on the 4. I used 3, 4, 6 together, but I mean, I think Western Curl definitely has a shot in here. So if you're looking for value, you know, that's a really, really fair price.
Yeah, I thought that one was interesting. JD's already made the case for the horse, but yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think of, I mean, you got Patrick Husbands hopping off. Maybe people see that maybe as a negative. I mean, but you're getting Emma, so you're not.
And
really
Emma's aggressive, yeah. Emma will give her.
Yeah, you're not really losing much.
Yeah.
JD, I mentioned that at some point here, I mean, basically Ellis is going to bump you. Whenever Ellis comes on, he's going to squeeze you out of the frame. And so before that happens, though, I wanted to give you a chance to go through your pick 4 ticket. And Sherry, apologies, this is going to cover you up for the next. So if you need to go, you need to like shotgun a beer. Now would be the time. You're going to be completely covered up.
I've got one. That's okay.
Go for it. Nobody will ever know. JD, get through this ticket.
Yes, so I talked about having both of the Cassie horses here in leg 1, so 4 and 6. Next leg, the favorite, Georgian, is going back down to this level, which is maiden optional claiming 40,000, and already has 4 tries at the level and hasn't gotten the job done. So I'm going to pass and take 3 horses there that are making some change. Obviously, the 2 and 3 second career start, trying the maiden optional claiming for the first time. Dictate, the 2 is my top choice there, and that's a 10-1 morning line. The other interesting one is the Fort Erie Invader above the line, and obviously I'll leave that to Mailloux to add anything on that later. But I think the 2 quality efforts, one on the turf and one on the dirt at Fort Erie, makes that horse a contender. In the Breeder Stakes, obviously I'm going against having Mighty Heart on my ticket. I've mentioned that my top choice is Muskoka Giant. I'm also putting Belichick in there. And then I think a really interesting horse in that race is Deviant. You look back at last year, and obviously this is a horse that won a couple minor stakes and ended up in the juvenile turf on Breeders' Cup weekend, and has only ran twice this year. Obviously, the first effort in the Cassie barn wasn't anything to write home about in the Queenston, but this is a horse with a lot of talent that has been placed in some much tougher spots than this already in the career. So I think Deviant could be a big run, and if there was a major upset, I think Deviant would be the one in that one. And then in the final leg, it's really a spread race for me. It's a $10,000 claimer dropping down to $9,500. Most are in for $9,500, and really going 5 deep there. My top choice is the 10. This round's mine, 8-1 morning line. I actually think that horse will probably be the favorite in this race, with Imogene Wilson up second off the layoff.
You hit on something there with Deviant. I thought I was the only one. I think Deviant's an interesting horse. Sherry, Ashley, have you looked at Deviant? Any interest in that one? Kind of an interesting path to the Breeders' Stakes. What do you think?
I'll let Sherry start.
I've looked at them all, obviously, and I tried to really like him, but I just couldn't find enough positives for me. But
the boys are reaching here.
But I've landed on English Conqueror to be the upsetter.
Wow,
if we get one. And I haven't heard a lot of that conversation, actually, him being banged around. So but you know what, honestly, this is such an unknown that if you really feel something and you want to take a swing like that. It could be any of them as far as we know, right? So if you're looking to totally leave Mighty Heart off your ticket, go for it. Take the longest shots, because this is the race to do it in, right? But for myself, I took English Conqueror as the upsetter. I'm not using Belichick at all.
There's a reason I wanted Sherry to go first, because she said everything I needed to say. I don't like deviants.
Yeah, Ashley knows how this game works.
And I was on 2 podcasts this week, and my long shot was English Conqueror. So Sherry
Oh,
just took
look
care
at
of it. So I know
Perfect.
JD said, because while JD's here, I have to bring this up. JD said that he thought maybe English Conqueror would go to the front and see how far this horse can go. I'm not convinced. I'm still not convinced that's the move. Maybe last race, early foot, but I actually thought the effort 2 back really wasn't that bad, kind of getting the stalking trip. Obviously didn't pan out great, but horse still was able to make up a little bit of ground, and that was going a mile and a 16th on the gradual stretch out, not much from the mile event before then. So I'm not convinced this horse has to go to the front. I wouldn't be shocked either way. But yeah, that was my long shot play. I was between 2 horses. It was that horse and Told It All. Originally, I was Told It All, then English Conqueror. I went back a few times, and that's my long shot play. I mean, to me, the next logical on paper is Belichick behind Mighty Heart, but I have to go for a price, and I know both of those horses are going to be short.
Yeah, and you know what? I really did look hard at Muskoka Giant too, because
as JD perks up.
That one, yeah. So, and you know what? We still got some time to think about it, but like I tried to really like him too.
Yeah, well,
but I just couldn't get there. I just couldn't get there.
No, I loved him in the plate, not the plate. Sorry, the Prince.
In the Prince of Wales. Me too.
I know JD says turf pedigree, but based on the work, seeing a Cassie horse that sharp on the training track at Woodbine before that race, I thought that horse was going to run a big race. Didn't really show me anything, so I'm off the train. I'm off the train.
Yeah, I think English Conqueror just has so much more room to grow, and maybe he's going to be the one that's peaking at the right time. So that's what I'm hoping.
All right, we are the horses are loading into the gate here for the 8th race. I will say, by the way, briefly, if you're trying to throw in a late ticket, Fresh Dreams for me seemed like a crazy kind of horse who might be able to close from off the pace. Had a ton of trouble last out, so the 9 horse is one I would throw in your late tickets here at a big price. We've also got Ellis in the green room. We're going to bring him in a moment. Let's just watch this race with JD, because we love watching races with JD, and
we just bashed him for like 2 minutes.
yeah, poor guy. We can't kick him out now. We got to let him stay for the race at least.
As Fresh Dreams, who was really unlucky last start.
I tried very successfully last race. I made a wager without hearing it on the IVR. I had to actually listen that time.
Wild going for the early lead in the center. Away nicely is Broadway Bonnie. Nantucket Red just behind them. Fresh Dream sails across well from the outside to share third. And then Western Curl, Eye in the Sky. On the rails is Fact Checking, and towards the back, Charmaine's Mia. And pushing up between them is Bella Figura. And out in front, it's Broadway Bonnie, a half to Helen Wild, a length and a half. Fresh Dreams nicely placed, and Nantucket Red the inside. And then Western Curl, 1 to Eye in the Sky. Charmaine's Mia going up 3 wide, making
your horse
ground.
is getting a trip, Dan.
Second last now, Fact Checking.
We'll
Bella Figura's last.
Now I have no
Bonnie
excuse
front,
myself for tipping her.
Helen Wild off the track now. Fresh Dreams called up with Charmaine's Mia. On the rails, Nantucket Red saving ground. Western Curl between them. Eye in the Sky warming up as they stretch into the final 2 furlongs. And out in front is still Broadway Bonnie. Helen Wild trying to get home down the outside. Charmaine's Mia and Fresh Dreams. Nantucket Red is switching course, and Eye in the Sky. Eye in the Sky coming. It's Helen Wild, Charmaine's Mia. Nantucket Red going to the inside, finishing on as well. Out wide, Charmaine's Mia. Eye in the Sky trying to get Helen Wild, and then Nantucket Red. But Helen Wild is very strong. Helen Wild, the length, Charmaine's Mia, Nantucket Red, and then Eye in the Sky.
We always seem to do this. Was Helen Wild the only horse we didn't talk about?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, and again, the horse was what, 3 to 1 on the morning line, drifted up. So we're not the only ones who just completely overlooked this horse. Horse was 3 to 1 on the morning line.
Well, so
never even ran on the turf before.
Yeah.
Right. The horse had never raced on the turf before. And I did play a trifecta.
Got it?
But I didn't know. I didn't use the 8 for second because I did not like the 8 for second. I said maybe for third. So if the 2 gets up, I would have had it. So that hurts a little bit.
Oh.
But if you looked at the 7, that was kind of we didn't talk about this, but the horse had floated up, had never tried the turf, but was pretty successful in those, sprints on the Tapeta.
Yeah. JD, go try to win it back the last couple at Laurel, all right?
All right. All right. Cheers, everybody.
Hi,
We'll
JD.
see you, man.
Bye,
Be good.
JD.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.
All right, let's bring in Ellis Starr. Ellis, how you doing? You're on mute. You're on mute. We can't hear you.
So isn't that a Paul McCartney song, Helen Wild?
It might be. I'll tell you what. One thing I know for sure. You are purely in like seduction mode right now with that lighting. Who are you trying to woo down there? What is up with this lighting, dude? I feel like you have a
It's my
you
new,
burning
it's my new
incense or
light.
what?
It's my new light. Hold on, let me see. Is that better? Is that better? Do you like that? Do you like that?
The first one was the best. I mean, like literally, I'm like, you should have like some Barry White playing, just like kind of, just right low key, like underneath you right now.
It's funny. The same light I've been using for King Little Home. It looks fine. I guess it's your technology's different.
Yeah, blame our technology, right? Well, how you doing, Ellis?
I'm doing good. Going good. I heard you talking about my horse before I came up.
Which one was that?
Muskoka.
Oh, well, yeah. Join the club.
I see Ashley put her head in her hand. Thanks.
You and
I can't do it. I can't do it. I loved this horse for the Prince of Wales for an upset, and after that, I really thought the dirt was going to be fine. Like I really didn't see any excuses, and just I was so disappointed that I don't think I can bet the horse again. Like, and that could come back to bite me, but I get on these things where I just can't do it.
Yeah.
So I'm out. So that'll help your odds. There you go.
I've been there. Yeah, I just think we'll talk about it, but the Curlin breeding is just going to kick in here, I think, and I would love to see, leading rider and Mark Cassie at 20-1 is like, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if you'll get 20-1 though. I think it's going to be a really interesting board. Yeah.
It will be interesting. You're right.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because there's going to be a lot of people that will play against Mighty Heart too, right? So it's going to be interesting to actually see what the board's going to look like. And that's why, too, you kind of want to wait a little bit before you construct your ticket, right?
Right. Well, that's true. Absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, I'm not leaving Mighty Heart out. This is the race I did for the website, and I put Muskoka Giant, Belichick, Mighty Heart, and English Conqueror as my picks, and I'm going to use Muskoka Giant and English Conqueror to split the favorites, Belichick and Mighty Heart, who I think are going to be 1-2 as we get closer to post time. So,
Ashley, just an update. 1 minute until the Maryland Million Classic. Harper's first ride 1-2 right now. Just crazy.
I don't think it's crazy.
You think Harper's first ride is that good?
I didn't say that. I just know how the betting public works, and I expected this horse to be heavily favored. Maybe not 1-2, but I knew this horse that I thought would be actually shorter than even money in this race, just based on that performance alone. I mean, when you look at what Harper's ride did last time out, I mean, it was a pretty big effort, and I know a lot of people a lot of the local people like him. I mean, they're always going to root for like a local horse, right? When they have horses coming in on those big days, but it was a pretty big performance. So I thought, my guess is, I don't have the board in front of me right now. I got to squint. Top Line Growth looks like second choice at 7-2.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, true.
To me, they are the two horses in there. I mean, I'm a huge Cordmaker fan. It's no secret. I love Cordmaker, but this is a horse that hasn't won this year, had a huge year last year, but he kind of sometimes in these bigger races, he kind of falls a little flat. Like last year, his performances overall were quite strong, but we didn't see him last year on Maryland Million Day. And then in the Pimlico Special, I thought his race was okay. It wasn't spectacular. It was decent. But I think when you look at the other two, I mean, Harper's first ride, yes, we expected this horse to go to the front in the Pimlico Special, but still had enough left. And, Owen Dale just didn't have a punch at all in the stretch, really. And I know even Johnny V had said that, like, the horse just didn't have that extra gear, which is a little disappointing, but a big performance from this one. And I think Top Line Growth, second the Salvatore Mile behind Pirates Punch. That was a really nice performance. And this horse obviously loves Laurel Park. No doubt about it. So
I want to tell you, I'm all in on Prindimi, just to make it clear.
You took the words out of my mouth.
The repeat.
I'm going for a big effort. I got him boxed top and bottom with everybody. Even dollar exactas with the 40-1 shots, but I got $10 boxes with Prindimi top and bottom with the other ones. I think
he almost won it last year.
Yeah. I think he could, if he has to go back to that. He has to run back to his Monmouth race. The Salvatore Mile, I have no clue.
You just got to get to the lead. You just got to break cleanly, get to the lead. Harper's first ride does not need the lead. Monday morning quarterback. I mean, they've been taking him back. They've been rating him. I don't think he wants to lead, and I don't think he's as fast as Prindimi. I think if Prindimi goes, Prindimi's the fastest horse in the race. He's got the rail. I just made a big bet on Prindimi, so I'm.
You did too. You and me got a lot of weight on him now, Dan. Thanks.
Hey, I'm trying to dig myself out, but yes, I love Prindimi here, and the horse was 15-1 in the morning line, down to 10-1 in a 7-horse field. I mean, the horse is taking legitimate action. As a result, horses like Cordmaker are 6-1, which is kind of surprising. And Monday morning quarterback, Sheldon Russell's been riding out of his mind. Monday morning quarterback, Sheldon Russell, 5-1. Just heads up rides today, race after race from Sheldon. All credit to him. Obviously, Trevor's been riding lights out too today as well. And I think Dale Capuano has won like 45 races over the past 3 days. And so, Prindimi for me as well. Look, I don't want to bash Harper's first ride. I think that he's a good horse. He obviously has improved leaps and bounds, in Claudio's barn. But I couldn't help but watch that race and think that it was like just entirely pace aided and entirely track aided. That there was. And people fought me on it all Preakness weekend about how the track was playing fair enough. The track was not playing fair enough. The track was strictly playing to speed. And so, I'm going to take a little bit away from him on that account. That being said, he could win again. I mean, just on ability. I mean, could certainly win again. I just don't want 4-5 or 3-5.
See, that's
so
what I thought. That's what I thought. Around this price would be kind of what it would be.
Monday morning QB, by the way, just interesting because he also had a real clunker, but that race to Happy Saver. And of course, Happy Saver came back to face Older and win the Jockey Club Gold Cup. So, you're looking at 3-year-olds this time of year. He was legitimate. You're right. Look at that 5. I would never expect he was 5-1 morning line. I thought he'd be like 3.
I thought he was going to get bet down too. I had very much the profile of a horse who gets bet down in a race like this.
He's just confused me a little bit. I think they've had different plans for him this year, and it's just he's not been in the races. I know they did talk a little bit about what I heard was about maybe the Preakness, and then they put him on the turf, and then they got a yielding turf course. It just he's a little bit of a head scratcher.
I have a question. I've never seen it. They just backed Cordmaker.
Yeah,
in the front.
I saw that. Yeah.
Is that usual for him?
I believe so. I believe this is the same thing that they did on last time he raced for the Pimlico Special.
Interesting.
I like him. I hope he runs well.
There's no motion that screams out to me more than that. Like, I feel like if I was a racehorse, that's the way you have to put me in the gate. Yeah, sure. I guess you could trick me into doing it this way. All right, so we'll keep an eye on this. We're also keeping an eye on, we'll just put this up briefly here so you can take a look at it. You got 17 minutes to the 9th race at Woodbine. This is the race before the Breeders' Stakes. Your favorite right now is the 3-horse. I can see clearly now is one that JD mentioned, 8-1 on the morning line, taking a lot of early action, 2-1 right now, and 5-2 now as your favorite. So we'll come back to this and we will go through this entire field in just a moment. Ellis, I've asked everyone else here the question on the bottom of the screen. Do you think Mighty Heart will do it? You've kind of indicated that you don't. Tell us why not.
No, I think he's going to be tough to beat, but I'm looking for betting as far as probability. Yeah, he's probably more likely than anybody else in the race. I think he's got a good shot. If I had to make odds, I'd pick about 2-1. To get it done. It's just a question of whether somebody pops up.
Mm-hmm. That's all you're giving us? Are you also trying to watch Laurel, right? You don't want to say that.
Yeah. Jimmy just made the lead and threw in the anchor. I don't know what happened to him. He
got pressed through a half in 46-3. So.
Okay, well, I gotta pop these up for a second. You're ruining this for me.
He's coming back again. Oh, I'm sorry.
He is coming back. This is
what is that about? Yeah, what is this horse? He cuts and he digs again.
This is very bizarre.
Yeah,
very bizarre. I mean, he's done.
Now,
he's not winning.
Now he's done.
But he's
Yeah, I don't think you're beating Monday morning QB here.
It's the 3-year-old.
I mean, he basically. I think what Centeno did. He said, look. He's like, I'm gonna He decided too late to not press the pace. Tattooed at 40-1 would make me sick if Tattooed won because I thought that was one who had a shot underneath. Probably going to finish second. It's going to come down to these two.
Now he'll be third. Harper's first ride will be second.
Yeah, Monday morning QB 6-1.
3-year-olds.
It seemed pretty clear. Like whichever the two of them got to the lead was probably going to be fine. Prendimi just could not deal with. What was that? 46-4. Yeah. 46-4. And then Monday Morning QB, when Prendimi wasn't there, was able to do 110 and almost 111 flat. So this is such a game of pace. It's it's crazy once you start paying attention to those numbers. It on the one hand it can help you. On the other hand, it could drive you mad because you don't know really what some jocks are going to do. The move that Centeno pulled. Going and
did you say some jocks or dumb jocks, by the way?
I said some jocks. This is not that kind of program. So that was unfortunate there. But congrats if you had Monday Morning QB out there. All right, so Ellis gave us the abbreviated version. Maybe yes, maybe no on Mighty Heart. I agree. I think this is one horse with Mighty Heart that he's even money on the morning line. I think you're going to see this horse drift from even money. I don't think Mighty Heart's going to go off at 3 to 5. I don't think it's that sort of thing.
I don't either. Yeah.
I think he goes off 8 to 5, 2 to 1, maybe 5 to 2 if things get a little crazy. But maybe 2 to 1 is probably about it.
You still have a question of 12 furlongs. I mean, don't you? Does it? Anybody? I mean, it's just unknown. I'm not familiar as much with the pedigree. Distorted Humor, of course, is the sire of Dramedy, but there's still. They're all going 12 furlongs, aren't they? I mean, it's a new ball game. It's that old cliche we learn in handicapping is don't bet a horse heavy as a heavy favorite trying something for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, but I thought that with him running in the Prince of Wales, and he proved me wrong, right? Like I thought, okay, now's the time to go against him because you always wonder too, like can they back that effort up, right? Because in the plate, he just went to the lead and kept going. And then he, in the Prince of Wales, he was in behind horses. And then when he got clear, he just kept going. So, and he got stronger. Like he seemed to be getting stronger through, he didn't seem to tire out. So for me, I'm kind of like, well, now that I know that he doesn't have to be on the lead, it kind of just changes everything a little bit, right? Like, I don't know what their strategy is going to be, but I do think he's a definite threat.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You see the question on the bottom of the screen there. We'd love to hear your comments. Don't be shy. Let us know what you think. We're all wrong sometimes. Don't be afraid. Tell us.
Sometimes.
Is he going to win? Is he not going to? Only sometimes. Only sometimes. All right. While we have the crew here, looking ahead to the 9th race here, it's Ellis. It sounded like you were ready to jump in and tell us about the 9th race.
I was excited when you told me we were doing it, and I looked at the race and I go, "Oh, maiden optional claiming."
Don't start hedging now. Don't start hedging now.
No,
Hit
well,
us. What do you got?
I hadn't checked scratches. The 6 was my top pick. No, I like the 5 Sweet Uproar and the 1 George John. I'm surprised. I can't say this right. Lord Jan. What?
J. Lord Jan.
JD said it differently. JD said like your Yan or something like that. Did you hear that, Ashley?
He did. I don't know how to say this one. I usually have to go onto Google and type in pronunciation of these things. I didn't do it this time.
There's a wine, J. Lore. J. Lore. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but that's how I pronounce it after the wine.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna follow Shay. Why is J. Lord Jan 5 to 1 off a 2 to 1 morning line? I don't know.
But I mean I thought the horse was deserving of the 2 to 1 dropping back into a more realistic spot here. I thought the horse was an obvious play. I mean, I do get why there's money coming in, and I can't see clearly now the 3 horse. But yeah, I'm surprised at 5 to 1. I think you'll see that price come down a little bit.
I'm surprised also the other one. The horse I was going to definitely take a stand against was the 8 Freedom Machine. I just don't like horses running so evenly. The last 8th, second 2.5 at the top of the stretch, second beaten 4, fourth beaten 6, third beaten 5, 8th beaten 5, 8th beaten 14, 6, 6. Those lengths behind from the 8th to the finish look really like there's just the horse doesn't understand. He's supposed to pass. She's supposed to pass a lot in the stretch, but they just haven't found the right condition to be running along on turf and then on the all weather. So I was looking to take a stand against, but 9 to 2 now it doesn't matter anymore. I'm more intrigued about J. Lord Jan now at that price, but I still think Sweet Uproar. The key is the jockey change to Simon. I think they're going to put this horse on the lead. There's no speed inside. I don't think Dictate is going to go like that. Didn't work last time. I don't think they'll use the same strategy. So I think Sweet Up Four takes the lead and says sayonara.
All right. Sherry, want to get your take on this race, and then I know that you said that in the Breeder Stakes you like English Conqueror as a possible price. Interested in knowing how you might end up playing them. I'm going to ask you to do both at the same time. We've got our next guest in the waiting room, so as not to make them wait too much longer, I'll let you hit both, and then we'll bring in our next guest.
Well, I like J-Lord Jan in here as well. I think that, this spot is perfect for her. She is a little bit wind shy, but I mean, it is maiden. I really like the 4 in here. I think the 4 is a pretty sneaky little play. But the thing is with the 4 is he needs to actually break. He's had trouble, he needs to break. He's had trouble at every single start. And now I don't know if that's his own thing or if it's just he hasn't figured the whole gate thing out yet. But the numbers that he's run, he fits. I just don't think he's put everything quite together yet. So I'm going to use the 4 for sure on my ticket. I got 1, 4, 8 in here. And then for the Breeder Stakes, English Conqueror is proven on the turf. I really like that. And you're right. Like sometimes one of the big things when we're asking someone to do something new for the first time, that's automatically a play against, right? Mm-hmm. So in my mind, he's out of English Channel. I think he's going to get the distance, no problem at all. And he can get in a nice position right behind the speed. He's got a win under his belt. He's got some confidence. And I just think he's on the path going up. And that's kind of what I try to look for in these races where they're going a little bit longer for the first time too. I think that there's still room for him to improve where maybe others might have kind of hit their peaks already. So to me, it just makes sense. Like there's a lot of positives for him. And I'm really hoping that he can take that step forward. I like Emma on him. I think that Emma's riding very, very well right now too. So for 15 to 1, I'll give him a shot.
All right. Well, Sherry, thank you again, as always, for stopping in. Good luck these next couple of races.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. We'll see you soon.
And good luck, you guys.
Thanks, Sherry.
Bye, Sherry. Take care.
All right. Let's go ahead and bring in our next guest. You've seen him
Oops.
Oh, there I went. You could tell we're rusty. We haven't done this in a couple of weeks, and I'm just like, I'm removing people. I'm putting video in at the wrong time. Anyhow, here's our next guest, Corey Frazier. How are you, Corey?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey.
Good.
I was struggling for a place to broadcast from. I came to one of our off tracks. It's completely full and loud, as full as it can be, being COVID and everything. And I'm in the back room with the printer and all the storage stuff and the ghetto lighting. So I'm just making the best of it.
I like it. The ghetto lighting. Ellis does not have ghetto lighting. Ellis has romantic lighting. I don't know if you could see Ellis right now, but he's.
It's very dim.
It's very mood lighting.
Very mood lighting.
All right,
well,
Corey,
I'm in a mood, so it makes sense.
Especially after that Maryland Million Classic. Corey, for those who don't know, was a jockey for a good long time with a lot of success at Woodbine. And we've got him in. We're lucky to have him with us here to kind of give us perspective as we count down to the Breeder Stakes on what it's like to, first of all, ride in a race of this caliber, and then kind of give us his thoughts about, what it's going to take for Mighty Heart to pull off 3 in a row and pull off the Canadian Triple Crown. For starters, Corey, the Canadian Triple Crown, I mean, we're obviously streaming from, New York here. And so, we know the U.S. Triple Crown obviously has got all its glory and all the rest of that. When you were riding, explain the significance of the Canadian Triple Crown. Was it sort of one of those things where it's like, yes, I want to win one of these races, and certainly if I could win all 3, that would be just, a spectacular accomplishment.
Well, with me, I tend to be a competitive person. And when I started, Emma Jane Wilson was riding at the same time. So when it came to these Triple Crown races and certain other races, you're riding against your peers and Justin Stein, and you're trying to win these races before your peers do. That's just what fuels me. And I remember that obviously you want to win the Queen's Plate, you want to win the Kentucky Derby before you want to win the Preakness. Like in general, that's a more popular race. And so she ended up winning the Queen's Plate one year, and I was angry about that. I was like, ah. And a couple of years later, I ended up winning the Prince of Wales. So I was like, all right, that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
But when it comes to all three of these races, you see how hard it is. And I think our hugest dynamic is that turf. And it's like, it's a deal breaker with a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. And look, I mean, this race, not only the turf, but also the distance, Ellis has brought up a number of times. I mean, some of these horses, you're going to tell right as even before they hit the turn, that they're not going a mile and a half. You know, from a handicapping perspective, you know, what would you tell? I know you don't have to give us exactly an exact bet right here, but in terms of people still analyzing this race, what advice would you give them in terms of looking at, you know, what kind of horses can make this distance and make the transition, a lot of them for the first time on the turf?
The couple that I'm looking at, I'm rooting for Mighty Heart. The reason I'm rooting for Mighty Heart is I'm a jockey fan still at heart. And I love analyzing jockeys and how well they do, how hard they work. And this kid, I remember him starting, and like a lot of jockeys, you're not that great when you start. Okay, Emma Wilson was amazing when she started, but the rest of us weren't that great when we started. And watching him improve over the last couple of years, and then watching him on this horse in the Queen's Plate was good, but watching him in the Prince of Wales was amazing. It was like he had patience, like of a seasoned veteran like Patrick Husbands. Just watching him sit and wait and wait and wait. I was ecstatic about it. So for me, it's more of a jockey thing. I look at it from a jockey perspective, and who can ride the race better. Whether you have the horse or not is another thing. But I can tell you, as I was listening to Sherry and English Conqueror, I'm totally about as well, because I can tell you she is super passionate about riding races this far. And I think if you look at the stats, her stats would be just a tiny bit better if everybody else's at a mile and a half.
Yep. And as Sherry pointed out, you're looking at an English channel there. So one that you shouldn't, in theory, have to worry about going long on the turf with some of the considerations you have with the other ones. One last thing, since you mentioned the race, the Prince of Wales and Mighty Heart's race, I wonder through your eyes how you saw how would you characterize the amount of adversity that Mighty Heart had to overcome in that race? So to my eyes, when I was watching it, the first half of the race, I was like, this is the dream setup. He's got these horses battling in front of him. All he's got to do is find a seam, go through, and this race sets up for him perfectly. But a little bit of a plot twist, right? You have Clayton kind of swooping, getting first run, and then he has to tip out, get around behind these tired horses, and then catch up to Clayton. How would you look at that in terms of overcoming adversity? Did he get an ideal setup, and so you maybe downgrade it, or did he overcome enough to where you said, you know what, he actually impressed me even more with what he did?
That's exactly what I was talking about. When that happened, a lot of riders, you'll see them sort of panic and try and force a hole or find a hole, and he sat completely still. It was amazing. I loved it. And it's obvious, it's something I like to do, and just try and be as patient as you can in a race. And he handled adversity. When it comes to this race, though, is I'm really wondering I'm hoping he can settle, but I really think even if he goes for the lead, hopefully he has no pressure. I think he'll be able to handle the distance the way he ran at the other races.
All right. For those just tuning in, the video you're seeing now from Woodbine is of the 9th race. It's the race before the breed. Here we go. Before the Breeders' Stakes. God, I had a birthday this week. I'm just getting old, and like you just start feeling it just in little ways. So here it is. Who knows? This could be the decline. So you're watching the 9th race here. The next race will be the Breeders' Stakes. And before we go any further with this, wanted to mention there's a pretty key scratch here. It happened about 7 or 8 minutes ago. The 3-horse, one of the ones that we talked about earlier, taking a lot of early money. I can see clearly now the 3 horse is now out of this race. Ashley, I don't think we got a final word from you on this.
I didn't chime in at all.
Yeah, go ahead.
Honestly, from a betting perspective, I don't like the race. There's nothing that really stands out as a price horse. I do think the filly on the rail probably is the best on paper. I do still have reservations, though. I think vulnerable, but 2-1 I think is a fair price. The connections on the 2, I always love the way their horses look. I'm sure Corey can say the same thing for the barn. I mean, their horses look outstanding. Second time out, I think this horse now dropping in, and this made an optional and in for the $40,000 tag is a horse I'd use. And then from there, I think the 5's logical. But I will say I did play a try, and I did single the outside horse for 3rd. I thought the race, I know it's Fort Erie, and you guys always say she's going to pick the Fort Erie horse. But I did think the effort going a mile at Fort Erie, I know it was made in special weight company there. The winner, Tale of Perfect Law, won that, came back, and faced older fillies and mares next time out, ran a really big 3rd. So for me, I like kind of seeing that performance.
All righty. Well done. Perfectly timed. Let's hear the audio from Robert Geller.
Out wide, Sunny Singh on above the line, going up to share 3rd with Sweet Uproar, gliding through in the centre. And racing handy is Freedom Machine. They got out by about 2.5 lengths. Back to second last, Smarty Illusion, Letter Rollers last. Out in front is Dictator. They worked their way down the stretch the first time. Racing second, Sweet Uproar with Freedom Machine, and caught a little bit wide, still on their outside above the line. J-Law Jang catching ground the rail. A pack of 4 behind Dictate. And 3 lengths away, Let Her Roll, and Smarty Illusion on the outside. Dictate continues to lead the way. It's Dictate in front, and dictating terms so far by 2 lengths to in second placing. Freedom Machine around Sweet Uproar. J-Law Jan having a nice trip on the inside. 1.5 lengths behind them above the line. Let Her Roll is second last, making some headway. And last of all is Smarty Illusion. They have a half mile to run, and Dictate in front by 1.5 lengths to Sweet Uproar from the outside. Freedom Machine remains 3rd. J-Law Jam for the first time pushed along. They're 4 in front. Smarty Illusion running on, and back to second last above the line, and last is Let Her Roll. They start the run down to the 5/16, and still in front is Dictate. Dictate is the leader by 1.5 lengths. Now J-Law Jan's running home really stoutly into second spot, has got going, and they have come away from Sweet Uproar. Dictate in front, but coming fast is J-Law Jan, and J-Law Jan on the outside races to Dictate. They're well ahead. It's Dictate fighting. J-Law Jan on the outside. Dictate not done with. J-Law Jan had every reason to go by, but hasn't fully, and Dictate's right back in this. J-Law Jan and Dictate. Dictate, J-Law Jan right down to the wire. Ahead, Bob. Dictate or J-Law Jan. Dictate did nudge up. It's very tight. A gap of 8 lengths to Smarty Illusion 3rd, then Let Her Roll.
That was a good little finish. That was a good race.
Yeah, Dictate did what I was hoping Sweet Uproar would do, but he took the track away from Sweet Uproar, and this time just kept going. He runs with his head down. It was kind of interesting. A little more, I thought. And J-Lord Jan, I just don't know why. You look at those running lines, and she runs so evenly in the stretch. I don't know if she really understands she's supposed to pass, so she thinks she should run the pack.
Yeah.
But no, you notice it in the stretch. The 2, I mean, very low head, like just kind of like straight body almost at some point where the head's going. I just kind of an interesting stride on the horse. 9-2 is a decent price. I actually don't know the results of the photo though. I couldn't see. I got TVG up in here.
All right, we'll update it as it comes through. The video started to break up, so I figured I'd just pull it down. Our next guest is waiting in the green room. We'll bring her in a few moments. Corey's got a new order of hot wings that just got ordered. He's got a fire up.
He's got the microwave going. The fridge is opening, closing. I'm like,
it's all.
Corey,
hey.
I do have a question for Corey, which you didn't kind of give him this big intro. He did win the Sovereign Award as an apprentice, Dan. You totally missed that part. Who did you win the Prince of Wales on? It was Cassie horse, Cassie, right?
Yeah.
It would have been I Have a Leopard. Yeah, that was the year.
I got the record for the longest photo finish at Fort Erie for like about 20 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, I Have a Leopard was the big horse that year.
And then you had the filly of Scott Fairley's as well.
Mm-hmm.
Who I can't remember her name right now.
That would have been like what, 09, 2010, somewhere around
2009,
there.
Were you there?
Still on, by the way. Just a
Yeah,
quick
I've
update.
only missed a couple of them. Obviously this year will be really a bummer if I didn't get to watch Mighty Heart win the Prince of Wales and the horse wins the Triple Crown. And I think the most recent one that I can remember missing besides that was Harlem Rocker, who I think was the Pletcher horse.
Yep.
All right, Dictate won.
That's
It
good
was.
for me.
You, JD, Ellis seems happy. I didn't bet it. Mighty Heart fans excited. It's the next race. We will be counting down to the Breeders' Stakes here with you. Ellis, since our next guest is in the green room, want to give you one final word before we let you get back to business and
Let me get where's my right paper?
pay the electric bill.
I was kidding. Where are my bills? No, where are my bills? Well, I had. I just wanted to say. Remember what? Okay, I remember what I did. Anyway, I'm betting Muskoka Giant and English Conqueror to win, and I'm playing an exacta box with Mighty Heart, Belichick, Muskoka, English Conqueror. Before we got on, I know you probably talked about Belichick before, but the only horse in the Queen's Plate to be closing. The only one besides Mighty Heart, who was drawing off at the time, to pass the rest of the field, going from 8th to 2nd. And by Lemon Drop Kid, I think he'll get every inch of a mile and a half. But as Sherry mentioned before she left, English Conqueror, that breeding is fantastic. Muskoka Giant, it's a curlin. So that's pedigree, and it's looking for something. I think if you get any of those two, even with Mighty Heart, you get a decent price. So that's how I'm playing it.
All right, Ellis, thank you so much. Appreciate
Ellis.
Pleasure.
taking the time. All right,
Okay.
we'll see you.
Bye-bye.
All right, we're gonna even this out a little bit here. What happened? Here we go. There she is.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, Allison.
Mind my winter gear. It's cold here still.
Is it that cold?
It's like 42 right now.
You're actually like in a barn, aren't you? Or like in
In the office.
corner.
The
I
barn,
just
yeah.
came in the office.
Our
runner's still cooling out.
Allison, Carly here, Allison Walker from the Roger Atfield barn. I met Allison, geez, what was that? It seems like forever ago now. It was probably 6 or 7 years ago. I think the first time I visited Woodbine.
Yeah, very long time ago. I
You-
think before I worked for Lucas.
Yeah,
There's been some travel in between.
yeah. No, you've been crushing it. Great to see your progress and growth in the sport, obviously, and see you doing all sorts of awesome things. And I'm also glad that Ashley was like, you should bring her on.
I don't know. How long have I known you for, Allie? Like,
Sorry, Jimmy's on. Since I can
since you
remember.
basically started almost.
Yeah, so I would have been like 15 or 16 when I first came on the track. So I don't know how old you would have been, but you were always there.
Yeah. So I mean, we like, go back from Fort Erie. I mean, that's kind of how we both fell in love with the sport, and it's crazy. Like we've stayed in touch over the years, and we've traveled a bunch ourselves, and still, been friends over the years. But yeah, that's where we both kind of started, was Fort Erie, and just I guess kids at the racetrack.
That's
Allie, if you'd like to order something, Corey is taking orders. I
There's
was-
a track store
It sounds like.
slash kitchen at one of our off tracks.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm assuming you two have crossed paths.
every morning.
Yeah, we were talking this morning and yesterday. I got to
He
straighten out on
luckily
what time
told
he was
me
at.
to meet you guys Saturday instead of Sunday. So thank you, Corey.
I'm like, hey, you going on
I was
in? She's like, yeah, I got to check the entries for Sunday. I said, that's great, but what about Saturday?
I was like, I don't know. I swear she said Sunday. I'm like, maybe because our big man runs Sunday.
Yeah. No, that's why I texted you the other day about the entries, and you're like, yeah, sure, whenever they come out. I'm like, well, they're out.
It's definitely not 72 hours yet. So yeah, thank you, Corey, for getting me on schedule.
Allie, you're the only one among us right now who's actually at Woodbine. What is I know you're on the backside, but what is the buzz and the vibe been like about this potential? I know it's not the crowds like it usually, but what is the vibe? What's the feel about whether Mighty Heart might actually do this thing today?
if you were here, you wouldn't know there was anybody else in that race. Mighty Heart is the only name I've heard on the front side today. And Josie Carroll is lined up doing interviews with, I think there's might only be like 3 media people over there, but they have all got her. She is interviewed out, I promise. But
What's your take on not only today's race, but just the whole story? I mean, we've heard, I mean, it's obviously a great story. This horse has come a long way. This horse was by no means a favorite at the start of this Triple Crown series. I remember we were live here. We were watching the horses as they were about to go into the gate for the Queen's Plate. I think he was about 20-1 at last flash. Obviously got bet down a little bit to about 13-1. But this is a big surprise. This was not expected by anyone. What have you thought if you watched this progression?
I love it. I love the underdog. I never cheer for a favorite. I mean, unless it's us. I think it's cool. I think getting to be sorry, Ashley, I was at Fort Erie for the Prince of Wales. The excitement that those owners and all that the whole connection has, it's magical. It's kind of, it gives you a good chill. It's what we're here for. So I'd love to see it for Dysky, for the Josie Carroll barn, and definitely for those owners and breeders and everybody who maybe thought they didn't really have a shot. And we need a Triple Crown winner. America's been doing it. Let's do it, Canada. It's our turn. 2020 is going to be our year.
What do you have you taken a look at the race from sort of a handicapping perspective and looked at who might be the horses that might be the dangers to upset them?
A little bit. I mean, Clayton's scary because, has he ever not been on the podium? I mean, that horse knows how to run. He grinds it out. He tries every time. I think I was just looking at the PPs. You can go back, I think, 5 on the program I have, and he's been 1, 2, or 3 the last 5 starts. And the breeding, there's a ton of strange breeding in this race that a lot of them could like the going, which is a little softer today. They could love the distance. A lot of them seem like they'd like the turf. Belichick is scary with that Euro pedigree there with the Lemon Drop Kid. And both NK Racing and L&J Racing are powerhouses at every racetrack they run at. So, I feel like they're a threat in every race. And Josie Carroll obviously knows how to get horses ready for this. They were 1-2 last start, and both have been breezing well here. They're awesome to watch in the morning. And I know they just, that gentleman just touched base on him being a closer, but it's neat that Mighty Heart can do both. I think it's a long race, and whoever sets the pace, as long as Dysky's on his game today, he can be right up there. He can come from off of it. I think that multiple dimension is going to be huge for that horse.
The next important question is, you've been around Woodbine for long enough to know, better rider, Emma Jane Wilson or Corey Frazier?
I'll say Corey Frazier. I'll say Corey Frazier.
I have no favorites, and either of those are underdogs, so I can't choose.
Yeah, when Roger needs Emma to ride a horse and she heard this, they're not going to have a jock. That's what's going to happen.
Hey, fun fact, I think Emma Wilson and Corey Frazier both started with Roger before being jockeys, so that's probably why they both rock.
There you go. Very diplomatic.
Always diplomatic.
No, obviously, I put you in that weird position only because Corey was retelling tales of Emma, trying to one up Emma, winning the plate and then coming back and winning the Prince of Wales. So it's really cool stuff. You know how that goes. There's all sorts of competition at the track. So it was cool to hear that story because we think that it's like, oh yeah, each race is what it is. Like the Ortiz brothers, when I hear them and they're like, oh, whatever, they must to some extent, really really hate each other. You know what I'm saying? Like they must be like, I want to beat that guy. I just want to, it's not me, everyone just thinks that it's just, you're going through the motion sometimes, but I don't know. Anyway, I thought it was a cool story from that perspective.
No, absolutely. I agree. Now I'm just picturing Emma and Corey as brother and sister, like the Ortiz brothers. I'm just trying to picture family photos.
Sort of like the same thing. We've got actually a live report coming in right now. A live, let's see. The video looks frozen, so I'm a little hesitant to bring him in. He's on the front side. Will, we can hear some noise, but we cannot see you.
Yeah. Oh well, Mighty Heart just came by, so excuse me. I'm just
no.
gonna. I'll turn the camera on now. Hold on. How are you guys?
Good. We
Good.
still
How
can't
are you?
see you. You sound great, though.
Let me just hold on. Stop cam. Let's see. Enter podcast studio. But you can't see me.
Hold on.
Oh,
Here
that
he
better?
is. Yes, we got you.
Thanks for waiting.
How cold is it out there? This is like
Well, it was
unbelievable.
It was super warm yesterday, but today it's just freezing. It's like I don't know. This is welcome to Toronto.
Dan just doesn't believe this at all, but it was
don't.
like close to 80 degrees in Buffalo yesterday, and today when I woke up, it was 42. Like that's
Yes,
just
that's exactly accurate.
You got winter mask.
Oh, I've got something to show you. Can I show you this awesome gift I got from up in the press box?
We're gonna full screen you. Hold on.
Yeah, it's an Old Smoke Mighty Heart T-shirt. Hold on.
Oh.
yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't that awesome?
It's
awesome.
really awesome.
Here,
Very.
actually, we're a little less windy. Like just step inside for a second. But
Yeah,
how's
we
your day going, guys? How are your bets going?
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah,
I do feel compelled to like sort of challenge you to just put that T-shirt on and go outside with it just to see what happens with only the T-shirt. I was just asking Ali about this. What's the vibe like out there? I mean, optimism or a little bit of concern about Mighty Heart's chances here.
I think any fan of racing would be excited right now. You know, this is potential history in the making. It's been 20 plus years since we've been a Triple Crown winner. So even if you're observing from afar, you have to be excited from that standpoint. But, there isn't much public access still right now with safety regulations that go back a bit here. So, but you sense a bit of excitement. I even saw the granddaughter of Mighty Heart's owner. She got a hot walker license to walk her horse over. That was exciting. So I'm happy for her. She gets to be a part of this. But otherwise, you have to be crafty.
Put his stuff on the table and then want to come back around 3.
Ashley, feel free to jump in.
I was seeing what the order was.
Yeah. Later thoughts.
So I don't want to be the person to bring this up, but I have to. Obviously, Josie, a very accomplished horsewoman, has a lot of owners. You put Belichick in the spot, and it came up on a podcast that I was on this week about, do you think Belichick's going to scratch? And I said, no, I don't. I think when you have a lot of owners, and I'm sure Allie can relate to this, being an assistant trainer and seeing all the owners that Roger have, when you have a horse that's geared for a spot, you're going to enter more than one sometimes. And I think this is an interesting spot because your other horse could ruin your chances of Triple Crown glory in some sense, right? Yeah. And I part of me wonders, a lot of people think Belichick is the next best thing on paper in terms of this race. I just am, how would it, and that's something I just been kind of asking myself, like, imagine being Josie Carroll, and if Belichick wins and Mighty Heart's second, what do you feel like? It's got to be an interesting situation to be in this sense, because she has on paper, the 2 best horses in here, and she might get a 1-2 finish and not get the Triple Crown out of it.
Absolutely. She said it very succinctly in an interview the other day I read. She says, you cannot deny a horse like that their chance, because what if Mighty Heart doesn't fire? Does that mean you don't give Belichick a chance? Because he could be the one that takes it all.
Right. I think it's just, you have 2 horses that are in, one's going for the Triple Crown. The other one probably going to like the 1.5 miles and comes from off the pace. And Ellis kind of mentioned this is the only horse that was really making ground up in the plate, now gets a chance to go longer. So it's interesting. Like I said, you kind of look at the odds right now. You got a horse at 4-5 and 7-2, and they're both Josie Carroll runners.
Your third choice, by the way, is Clayton at 7-1. All right, Will, we know you got to get to work. Just give us a long shot here. If it's not Mighty Heart, give us a big price that could win this race.
I looked at the past performances. I really feel that English Conqueror could be an upset possibility. He's got the breeding. He's definitely bred to run on the turf in a 1.5 miles. And Emma Jane Wilson's riding. I mean, she's on fire. Allison can attest to that. The 1.5 miles on the turf, Emma Jane Wilson, that's the jock to have right now.
All All right, you and Sherry are obviously betting down English Conqueror from the 12-1 on the morning line. Now 8-1 and dropping with every passing moment. 14 minutes to the big race. Will, thank you for making a few minutes for us. We know you got other work to do out there. We love you. See you soon.
I love you guys. It's lovely chatting.
Bye,
Good luck
Will.
with your bet.
Thank you.
Ah!
I like how he always wishes us luck betting. He knows that we need it. So, and by the way, I've muted Corey for a moment just so we got poor Will in at least.
Crazy here. It's
All right, Corey, we're going to put you on the spot here. If you could ride any other horse in this race, I know you like Mighty Heart. Would you rather be on a horse like Clayton, or you like Belichick and the way he finished up when we last saw him in the Queen's Plate?
I would probably stick with Clayton. Like Allison was saying, like how much the horse hits the board. I love consistency when it comes to horses. I don't care. I'm sort of simple when it comes to betting on horses. Even it's like if a horse is always hitting the board, it means it likes to run. And I just keep it really simple like that. So like Clayton would sort of be the next go-to horse I would take.
And
funny story about that.
Yeah,
if I have 1 minute.
Go ahead, please.
Is I was mad at my agent one week, and he was saying, "Well, okay, I'll give you a little project here. You go to the room today, and before each race, you select which horse you think you would have wanted to ride in that race, and let's see how easy you think it is." And I came back, and I didn't have one winner. So it's like, okay, do your agent thing. I'll do my riding thing.
That's so funny. Oh my God. Ali, same sort of question to you. If you were to have, any other horse but Mighty Heart in this race in your barn, and you'd like to be with that team at this moment, feeling that you could upset this horse, who would it be?
Am I allowed to pick Belichick?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, I love the breeding. I think he's a cool horse. I think he trains pretty consistent in the morning. I know the riders in the morning from that barn love him. I think he's going to be tough to beat as well. But I don't mean to change the subject, but just as like a little huge upset. I'm a huge Stevie Bain fan, as he rode Tiz Slam, and he dominated on the lead with Tiz Slam at this distance constantly. He's got a great clock. He hustles in the morning. He gallops for his wife. He breezes a ton. He's all over the track. He's super fit. And he's on Enchant Me, who shows a lot of speed, who doesn't necessarily have the numbers to compete with a lot of the horses that we were talking about, but I think is going to be sharp. He's got a couple sharp works. And if he can get out in front and Stevie can get him to relax, he might just be able to control that pace. And I mean, Magicians by Galileo, and he's out of a Giant's Causeway mare. I mean, nothing says he can't get this distance. So I think, I know it's a long shot, but if you're going for a really long shot, I don't know if you can discount that pair.
I'll tell you what, Ali, you have an invitation for life on this show. If we could get more people to throw out there to tout 52-1 shots, my life would be perfect. Like
I'm gonna look like a genius if this works.
There is,
and he's great. Everybody likes to bet a gray horse.
We've already sold Dan sold.
Yeah, that's true. Graze on the grass, as Corey mentioned. That's an 80% angle. The last time I checked the numbers.
There's going to be some cut in that turf. I know it's been windy and sunny, and I do think it's dried up enough for Mighty Heart, but I don't think it's going to be super firm. I think there's a lot of things saying that, if the stars align, that one could happen.
I'm not having any luck with sort of traditional handicapping that I do, so I am going to make a bet. I'm not going to lie. I am betting this horse no matter what. And also, not only have you sold me, you've also sold Mark Dawson, who says great value and to hit the board, love the breeding for the 12 furlong, which is exactly what you were talking about. So yes.
And this is not important, but I have to share it. Stevie Bain has been my favorite rider since I turned 18 because he won a race on my birthday with a horse I groomed who is now actually Roger Atfield's stable pony. His name was Sleeping Lion, trained by Claudia Rapsey and Henry Whalen. They bought him. He's the first racehorse to drop me, the first racehorse I breezed, the first racehorse I flipped into being a pony, the first pony I sold. The boss owns him now. He's my baby. He's actually out in the barn. So Stevie will tell you, I tell everybody, he's my favorite jockey. He made May 12th special at the fort.
Poor Corey for just like rubbing it in.
Right?
Right?
You didn't win on my pony.
Ashley, we're looking at the board here. We mentioned obviously the ones that are taking a bunch of money. Let's just quickly go through and look at some of the other horses. And let me know, I mean, if there's anything stands out. I mean, 69-1 on Meyer down on the rail. 2-horse Enchant Me we've talked about. Now coming down a little bit from 52 to 48-1. Clayton 6-1, which is exactly what he was in the morning line. Ollie, my boy, scratched. 5 English Conqueror, who we've talked a lot about here, 8-1 down from the 12-1 morning line. The 6-horse Glorious Tribute, 30-1 morning line, now 56-1. Deviant is one who I thought was interesting for Cassie. Has only raced twice this year. Very odd sort of spacing. You got to figure the horse has had some issues, but this is a horse who has obviously ability. Was in the Grade 3 Bourbon last year. Was in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. Now comes back in this spot off another significant break, 46-1. Mighty Heart, even money, 4-5 right now. Belichick, 4-1. Kunal, Speed Horse, maybe give you a little run for your money at 55-1 from the outside. Could potentially clear. Told It All. Norm McKnight claimed this one a couple of races back. Dramatic turn in form for this one in the last couple of races. 16-1 seems a fair price. Muskoka Giant, we've talked about a lot. The 12-horse, 20-1. So actually, that's the whole field. Looking through those odds, anything stand out to you?
I don't know if like prices stand out. I know we've talked a lot about Clayton. Clayton was the horse I actually loved in the Prince of Wales and I thought was going to be the winner. And I thought, kind of looking at how the race panned out, when Clayton kind of had that big move, I said he could be gone. I mean, he could. And then all of a sudden, Mighty Heart comes into the picture. And I actually was a little disappointed in Clayton. I know he finished second and was beaten by 2.5 or 2.25. When I saw that move, I thought he was going to get the job done and he didn't. And I really thought that was kind of his time to shine. And I got to, kind of commend Kevin Attard for, putting this horse through all 3 legs. It's not an easy task. The calendar is different this year, but obviously Kevin's not going to put this horse in a spot unless he thinks he has a shot. I just got my heart broken last time, so not going to go that direction. I know when to walk away, I guess, in this situation. I think kind of looking at the others, I'm not a Deviant fan. I know, his Switch Barnes just has that one start with Cassie. I didn't see that much out of it. So maybe second start, this horse will kind of change things around. You mentioned, kind of some of the other bigger prices. I can't really endorse any of the double-digit horses that are really high up there. I actually think Allie makes probably the best case for those big prices. And this is kind of how I thought the tote board would be split up. I mean, you'd have a couple horses, single digits, and then everything else would just be very, very high. There wasn't going to be a lot of middle ground. We've talked about English Conqueror. This is the horse that I think, out of an upset standpoint, was the horse that stood out to me. I think originally, like I said, I was between that one and Told It All, who's kind of really stepped up in those last couple of starts. Last time out, a little disappointed, but this horse still kind of made some move late. And it was going a mile. It's going to be interesting to see that one stretch out, but the pace is going to be the huge thing here. And Allie touched upon that with the case of Enchant Me. I mean, I don't want to say the words cheap speed, but the 10 Canala, you could have claimed last start for 12.5 and coming in now out of a mile race out of Gulfstream Park. Now coming here, I have to think this horse is just going to go from the get-go. So it's going to be interesting to see who goes with that one, if this horse just kind of sets a blistering pace. I know they had talked about, I think JD's the one that said English Conqueror might go to the front. I'm not convinced English Conqueror needs to be on the lead. Might be a couple lengths off of it, but you kind of look at last year's Triple Crown and how the races panned out. One bad boy, gate to wire in the plate. We saw that again this year. You look at the trip that Mighty Heart got in the Prince of Wales, then kind of that stalking pace. It's the same thing that happened with Tonebroke, just about 2 or 3 leaders off the leaders, lengths off the leaders, and made the move. And I believe last year in this race, Tonebroke did not have the lead early on, but sat kind of just off the pace, and that's kind of where you wanted to be. So I think right in this race, it's really just going to come down to trip. A lot of these horses might have an affinity for 1.5 miles, and other ones, I think it's going to be a really big test for them.
Never has it been more clear to me than listening to your anecdote on Clayton that it is not wise for anyone to cross you or betray your trust.
No comments. No comments.
Boy, poor Clayton. Yeah, no idea that,
poor Clayton.
that he done you that bad.
Yep.
So just a quick update here as we're 4 minutes to the race. Due to streaming rights related to this race and the fact that the race can be watched on TSN, we cannot show you this actual race. We're showing you, we've shown you the horse at the paddock and the post parade. So be sure if you're in Canada to tune into TSN, or you can pull it up on any betting site that you have and that you're wagering on. We've given you a number of different options in terms of ways to bet this race. Corey, do you have a 52-1 shot for us?
Oh, she put me on that horse. You might have saw the odds go down. Oh no, actually, my $2 didn't make a difference. But Grace on the turf, me and these Grays. But no, that'd be the only one. I threw that into my mix. I took that one, Belichick, obviously Mighty Heart, and who was my last one? The 9 horse, which would have been Clayton. To me, the 4 of them, I just threw them in an exacta box, the 4 of them, and hopefully, I'll love Allie, even though she doesn't love me. She loves Stevie Band if that 2 horse comes in.
I love you and Emma Ortiz.
Look, we all want the good story. It would be great if Mighty Heart wins this race, and I'm actually surprised that he's still 4-5. I expected his price to be a little higher than that. I mean, since I've heard so many people talking about creative ways that you can potentially beat him if things don't go his way, doesn't get quite the same pace setup. So we'll see how it all unfolds. I'm going to point out again one more time, my price play in this race is going to be the 7 Deviant. It's a horse who they obviously had high hopes for early on, who has probably, again, I don't know the story. Allie, do you know anything about Deviant? I mean, this is a horse that obviously there must have been some buzz around. No?
I'll be honest, I don't. I'm sorry.
Okay. So, all right,
There's your letdown for the day. I don't have a clue.
If it hasn't reached your level, maybe I'm making too much of Deviant.
No, we're in barn 4. It takes a long time for info to reach barn 4 on this track. We're in the back corner.
Dan, I have a question for the master handicapper, which is you, by the way.
No, which is Ashley.
When it comes to Mighty Heart, would you say he should be like even odds? Like, do you think some of his odds have gone down just based out of excitement and people wanting to bet a Triple Crown winner? Or is there legitimacy to his odds based on how he fits into the race?
I would say, if you look at horses like, Justify or American Pharaoh, or like even when horses like Chrome were going for the Triple Crown, those were, they became sort of really big, sort of large national stories in which you had a lot of casual players or non-players, non-racing people just betting because they wanted to support that horse. I'm not sure, as great as this story is, as a reflection of the moment we're in, both people having other stuff going on in their life, and the fact that, it's just, I don't know, it just hasn't really reached that level of critical mass where I think you've got casual people hopping on and signing up for accounts just to bet a $2 or $10 win bet. So I don't know that it's that. So to that point, I think the money you're seeing come in is from just the usual standard 7-day-a-week hardcore horse players or your weekend warriors who think that he's legit. And look, he hasn't done anything in recent weeks to indicate that he isn't legit. I think the only case that you can make against him, and I've made this, and I might be wrong. I think that the Queen's Plate was run exactly the way he needed it to be run. He was able to clear, got to the lead, didn't face any pressure. And then the Prince of Wales, even though, look, I'll give him credit for navigating around some of that tiring traffic in front of him and running down Clayton. I still thought that he was in a good enough spot and he was drafting in behind, sort of in that garden spot, to where he didn't really have too many excuses up to that point. And Clayton, I'm not sold on Clayton, so I'm not, I don't think that it's not like he ran down maximum security, you know? So that's kind of the way I look at it. Ashley, am I wrong?
I think my pizza pocket's ready.
Exactly.
No, I don't think you're wrong. I mean, I think the plate, I'm just kind of surprised. I mean, I do a lot of comparisons from other editions of the race. And my whole thing was that when you looked at the field, it was a big field this year. The pace scenario was not clear on paper. And I said, if someone gets the lead and they make it easy enough, they can probably take them gate to wire, because we saw one bad boy do that. But Mighty Heart still went faster than one bad boy and really poured it on. And just besides Belichick, no one was making ground up. And all these horses, you know, they talked about the fillies and stuff. They weren't able to do it. I think the way you talk about the Prince of Wales, I would bump it up a little bit. I thought it was a pretty, you know, yes, he got some setup, but he also had to overcome things. And then, like I said, I thought when Clayton was going, Clayton was the winner. I remember watching the race with my dad on the TV, and he's like screaming, Clayton's gone. And then all of a sudden, here comes Mighty Heart. And I think a lot of people expected Mighty Heart to go to the lead. I didn't think so. I thought there were other horses in there, some that didn't belong in the race. And we've seen this in a lot of big races. There's always a couple horses that maybe you don't think are going to get the job done, but can kind of change the pace scenario. I did think other horses were going to go, so that he was going to have to kind of sit back. Here, I don't know what their strategy is. It's going a mile and a half. You know, these horses haven't gone a mile and a half on the turf. It kind of becomes a rider's race. And I don't think they're going to do anything drastic and change things up on a horse like this, because you're going for the Triple Crown. You're going for a stakes win. It doesn't matter. You're not going to take anything away from the horse. So I do think on paper, he's shown the most out of the horses, especially recently. He's the most consistent, and I want him to win. I just said, like I said earlier, he said, what I think happens, I think he wins or he's not there at all. I don't see him losing on a head bob, to be honest. I don't see it being that sort of race, the way it pans out.
All right. We're about to find out in a moment. They're now off. We'll give you a little bit of a play-by-play here as best we can. Allie's excited, clearly.
Turn into the TV.
She's going to start snapping her fingers and slapping a daily racing form against her leg in a moment.
Well, I'm already upset my gray horse didn't go for the lead. Wait till I see TV tomorrow.
Well, Kunal is on the lead, that big price from the outside, 99-1. Actually vying for it with Mighty Heart. Mighty Heart looks like he's got about a half a length on that one. Now, they did a quarter in 23-3, which is pretty honest for a mile and a half on the turf.
Yeah.
We'll see. So they're running in a couple of different sections here. Mighty Heart and Kunal are 1-2. Kunal is playing spoiler here. 47-2 for the half mile. Extremely fast.
This is like your worst nightmare as a jockey. That 99-1 shot pushing you along.
And you're thinking, buddy, get away from me.
I'm like feeling for him right now, because you know you're going 47-2. You know it. It feels like it.
I bet he feels sick.
Yeah, Told It All just behind. They did go 113 flat, but look, that early pressure might take a toll on Mighty Heart. Told It All making a move now, a little bit of a move, is into second. Kunal's backing out of it. Belichick in the scene now, and Clayton getting a great run up the rail is now moving into third. A horse we talked about throughout the show, English Conqueror, now making a move up the rail as well. They're bunching up a bit. Belichick, it looks like he'll be about 3 wide here, about to make a move. Look, if Mighty Heart hangs in, this would be impressive, but I would imagine they're going to, a couple of them are going to go past them. Here goes Belichick. Belichick is
oh, well. No Mighty Heart.
Who's on the outside there? Okay, looks like Belichick. Is that Meyer at 54-1 in second? Big price in second. But it looks like Belichick. It looks like it's Belichick move up the rail for the English Conqueror. And Deviant with a late move from off the pace to finish fourth. So yeah, it's a game of pace. Pace makes the race, and we all knew pretty early that Mighty Heart was in trouble.
Oh, that sucks.
Allie, tell us something refreshing.
I do think in those longer races on horses who aren't experienced at it, that it comes down to the ride. Like, I think an experienced rider, I'm not saying that by any means it was the rider error. The way that's set up, it takes a lot to know that turf course. It takes, I think, a lot of years to master riding big, long route races like that, especially when, the speed sits off of you. And I don't know. I'm devastated for Daisuke. I think he's so humble and he's so kind. I wanted him to get it so bad.
Sweetest guy. I was so excited for this guy.
Yeah. If I've never wanted a rider to win a Triple Crown more. He's pretty awesome. And he's riding phenomenal. I mean, I think he'll do great things. I was hoping for him.
What do you think, Corey? You think he kind of got, maybe a little caught up in the moment? I mean, I look, it's easy for us to say, look, why don't you just take the horse back? That's a 99-1 shot. Let him run on. What do you make of that? Yeah.
Because he had honest fractions to sit behind in the Prince of Wales. Like, he was only like one length off, like just sitting right behind the other horses. And I think they were going sub 24 as well that day. In this case, when you're in a race, if you have a horse that wants to go to lead, you will kind of want, for some reason, you always want to be outside that horse. Mm-hmm. I always noticed I had a horse on my outside. They always made my horse run faster. Mm-hmm. If I was on the outside of them, I was able to sit off them. Because if your horse is aggressive, and he does seem like an aggressive horse, and I could see this happening. And it's just like, as soon as they got out of that sharp turn onto the backside, I was like, oh no. Because you can see it, that other horses, they were both being taken a hold of, and then they get to a speed duel. And I hear bettors all the time yelling that they let him go. No, you know you're going to 47-1, and you're cursing. And you're cursing at that guy like, what are you doing? You're killing both of us. But meanwhile, sometimes the other guy doesn't have much control either. They get excited. It's a longer race. They got to run a bit slower early than they usually have. And like Ali said, they're young horses, and they don't, right? Sometimes.
I have a question for you, Corey. Do you feel like the competition in the rooms, I know you guys are talking about competition, that often, and I feel like when watching races in the States, it happens a little more than here, and I could be totally wrong, but do you think other riders try to set other jockeys up for failure? You try to block in a horse or push a horse along, or Mighty Heart probably wants to lead. He's only ever come off of it twice. That if you're going to sit off of him, I mean, every rider, even as a gallop rider, if somebody's sitting on your flank, you're going.
Exactly, yeah.
Do you think some moves are done on purpose?
Definitely. In this case, I would say 1,000,000% not, because Fukumoto's the sweetest guy ever. I can't see anybody thinking bad on that kid. Anytime I've seen it, it's been like maybe an arrogant rider who, you know what I mean? Karma catches up to him, and other riders are like, screw you, and I'm coming after you, right? But in a case like this,
we see it a lot where people want the favorite to get beat.
Yeah. But that's, wasting your horse. But at the same time, you ride your race for your race. And if you want to beat that horse, you put yourself in. If it's giving him pressure in the beginning, that's how you think you're going to beat him. That's how you got to do it.
I love the question, Ali. It really is, because that's something that goes through everybody's mind as they're watching these races unfold. So great question. Ashley, you nailed it. Like you said, if Mighty Heart doesn't win, you probably envisioned a scenario like this where things didn't play out. And I don't know where he finished, but he certainly didn't finish in the top half of the field. We will show you if you have this trifecta or superfecta. God bless you. You're going to be eating and drinking well tonight. A 54-1 shot in second. 54-1 Meyer in second. Not one that I saw. Behind them, English Conqueror. Shout out to multiple people who liked English Conqueror on the show, including Sherry. 12-1 finishes third, a strong third. And I'll take a little bit of credit. My horse Deviant finished fourth, a fast closing fourth at 44-1. But I had nothing. Ashley, did you hit anything?
No, I mean, I liked English Conqueror, Mighty Heart, and Belichick. I think it's a tough thing too for like at least me as like a handicapper and someone who looks at the races. In the case that Josie Carroll gets her triple crown of sorts, right? She gets this job done now with Belichick's win, but she got two horses. They run very differently, right? Different run styles, and you know, and when you get these cases, I mean, knew these horses were never going to be in the same spot in the race. They're different on paper, but you wonder what the discussion she had with her riders were. I mean, was the decision just to let Mighty Heart go off the get-go? I mean, everyone knew the 10, like I said, I use the words, I don't like to use those words, but the horse was cheap speed. The horse was going to the front in this race, no matter what. The horse had done it the last 2 times and has been able to pull it off just at a mile, and those cheaper claimers at Gulfstream Park. So you kind of sit here and I wonder, okay, well, if you just, you know, the 10's going, the 10 probably is not going to get the distance at a mile and a half unless they crawl, which they didn't. It makes you wonder about how things could have been different. And, you know, Allie kind of touched on the turf course. I mean, the turf course is not firm. It's listed as good, but you don't really know. I don't know. I haven't walked on the turf course to know what that sort of condition really is. What does it really mean? Because it varies at every track. Some tracks are yielding, and another place it would be good. It's tough to say. So, I mean, it's kind of sad. I mean, we all didn't have words afterwards because you're rooting for this. It's a great story and it's great for the connections involved, but it's like, it's kind of the true test. I know there was a poll today on Horse Racing Radio Network. I think they tweeted out, is the American Triple Crown harder to win or the Canadian? And I think they're difficult for different reasons. And in this case, yes, they both have mile-and-a-half races, but the turf adds a different element. And in specific in Canada, it's 3 different surfaces. Every single race is very different. So it's still a hard, you know, feat to pull off. And it's disappointing in a lot of ways, but it is what it is, I guess, in some sort.
20-cent superfecta pays $3,079.18. 20-cent try paid $154. Allie, I just want to go back to you for a moment because I saw Luis Contreras do the like the launch off the horse, the celebratory Frankie Dettori dismount. And, you know, and I see Josie Carroll, right? And, you know, Luis is having the time of his life. You've got owners there who are like so happy, but Josie's standing there knowing this was an opportunity of a lifetime. And yes, she won this race, but it's got to feel a little weird.
Yeah. I feel I'm nervous over that cooler right now.
OTD.
Giving me anxiety.
It's going.
Please get it.
I can't not see it now.
I'm sorry, it's so distracting. I don't know. Josie's so reserved. She's reserved in the morning. She says what she needs to say and is to the point. You can't not be happy. I think that's as much as you want to win a Triple Crown, you want to win it so badly. I mean, she technically did. She did it for her. She did it for her owners, and you need to. I mean, I find watching Roger, anyways, and she's very similar. You treat each as an athlete. You want to see each do the best they can do, whether one beats one and one beats another. You treat your owners the same. You treat your horses the same. You're never disappointed for a win, regardless how it's done. I don't think in any situation we'd see Josie jump around. She's so reserved.
It's the truth, though. She's always very reserved and like, you know, and just I don't know. She's kind of soft spoken in a sense. Like, I just don't feel like I've ever seen like a big range of emotion from her. It's like a polished sort of thing. So yeah, I don't think she'd be screaming and jumping like that.
Very calculated, I feel like.
Yeah, it would have been different if it was sort of the situation where, you know, the last horse Belichick ran by was Mighty Heart, right? And they finished 1-2.
That would have been.
I find if we have 2 in a race and I see one is going better than the other, and I shouldn't admit this, you just start cheering for whoever's moving better. You're like, let's go. One of you get there. And I'm not a parent, Corey, you are. Imagine your kids would be the same. If they were all running in a race, you just cheer for who's going best.
Exactly, yeah.
You just get it done. A win's a win.
Well, this has been obviously a lot of fun. Unfortunately, we did not see Triple Crown today, but we saw some good racing. We've been live here for the past couple of hours. We've also been live every week just about up until a couple of weeks ago with Woodbine Live. It's been a great year following racing on ABR's channels, and you know, we're looking forward to doing it again, hopefully next year. We hope everyone who's joined has enjoyed these streams. I am totally indebted to Ashley for putting in so much time and effort into all these shows, just killing it week after week. Ashley, I want to give you the last word as we say goodbye to folks for the 2020 season.
I know it's all over. It's been a lot of fun this year. I think it was a lot of hard times because of COVID, and I think especially when we started doing these Woodbine live shows, I always forget if they were Wednesday or Thursday nights because everything's a blur, but it was fun, right? Because we all like to go to the track, and a lot of us haven't been to the track in months. So it was a lot of fun for me, especially when I hadn't been to a track in a really long time. It's just like you miss doing that and miss talking horses, and I get sick of talking horses with my dad. So thank you for having me on for a lot of shows.
All right, well, this was a lot of fun. Corey, Allison, let's do it again sometime, all right?
Sounds good, buddy.
All right, everyone. Have a great night. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.